Hi, my name is Eric Camden. This is a tutorial for creating raised panels on compound surfaces such as you might find on spaceships or armor-plated vehicles in Animation Master. This tutorial was created in version 13T. Although there are many methods to achieve this, the theory behind the methods is pretty much the same. Instead of dealing with a specific model, I will guide you to produce a simple compound panel, making sure you understand the dynamics behind the finished product. Once you grasp the basic idea and workflow, I will leave it to your imagination to expand on the idea and create your own fantastic images. Be advised that this tutorial is for the intermediate Animation Master user, since it relies on keyboard shortcuts and basic concepts that the user should be familiar with. Let's begin. For demonstration purposes, we will create one of the panels as seen in this model. Notice how smooth the panel is and how tightly it conforms to the base sphere. Also notice that the panel has a very low patch count. The base model can be a low patch model since it will be covered with plates. The guide for the panel will be a high patch copy of the base model shown here in red. How many subdivisions your guide will have depends on the complexity of the panels you're trying to create. The higher the patch count, the more detailed and varied your plates can become. Remember that the guide will later be deleted, so it doesn't matter if it's spline heavy for now. Much of this depends on the planning of your project. For this demonstration, I've already opened several model windows, which I'll be referring to. The next step requires us to work with the guide model. Let's copy a patch off the guide and paste it into a new model window to see if we can duplicate the compound curved patch. Going to side view, you'll notice that the patch has lost its curvature. So much for making curved surfaces the easy way. So why is the panel now flat? The answer is simple. 2 points define a line segment, the most basic spline. In order to deform the line, you need a third point on the line. Let's add a point here to demonstrate. Manipulating the point manipulates the curve. In order to deform a rectangular patch, we need to add control points to each spline and use them to manipulate the curvature of the patch. Moving them simultaneously gives us a lot of control over the shape of the patch. Let's go back to our guide model and copy a whole row of connected panels. As expected, the vertical is perfectly straight since there are only 2 CPs on the vertical splines. The horizontal splines, however, are curved since they are composed of more than 2 CPs. Well, we're halfway to the compound curve panel. Going back to what we learned before, we need at least one more spline ring in the vertical to maintain curvature. Once again, we go back to our guide model, but this time we copy 3 horizontal splines, giving us 2 rows of panels. Well, now we have curvature in both the horizontal and the vertical. Now here's a little trick I've picked up that really helps to get smooth looking models. If you have a model with curved or circular splines that you're going to manipulate in one way or another, make a copy of it before you make any changes to it, lock the copy, and use it as a reference to bring any unwanted changes back in line. This is especially helpful if you're tweaking the bias handles and need to have them conform to the original curvature. Well, we wanted a panel, not a ring, so more surgery is needed. Since we know now that we need at least 3 CPs on a spline to maintain curvature, it follows that we need to select and copy 4 patches in this particular ring to maintain their shape. Let's copy and paste and see what we get. Beautiful. Compound curvature in the horizontal and vertical conforming to the base model. We're not quite done yet. There's still some extruding to do in order to get the sides of the panel. First, you need to decide if you want to bevel the panels or not. This is important because it will change the way you go about finishing the panel. In the model that will not be seen extremely close up, don't worry about bevels. In order to create edges along the panel, you will need to use the extrude command. Now select the whole panel and extrude it backwards, in this case along the z-axis. Since there was a CP in the center of the panel and you included it in your extrusion, you will have internal patches that will cause render issues. Now there are ways to get around these internal patches, but for the sake of simplicity and keeping in mind the scope of the tutorial, we will simply eliminate them manually here. Select the back center CP and delete. Next, select the back center horizontal spline, delete that. Now all that's left is to delete the center vertical spline. There you have it, a perfectly compound curved panel. Well, that's it for now. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Happy modeling!